Okay, so for this exercise, I just wanted to show you an exercise a lot of people do, which is we're going to tape off the paper. So we need, these are the materials. All you need is a few mark making tools. They could be a pencil if you haven't got any. You could even use felt tips, anything that you've got to hand really. I've got a couple of things and I decided to go with a couple of colours. So I've got green and pink. The reason I decided that was I had a look through a magazine and found some cherry blossom pictures. It's spring, there's a lot of cherry blossom about. It does not mean that I'm going to paint cherry blossom. I'm just using the colours as inspiration. So nice spring green and a pink, and I've also got similar colours in any acrylic paint. So I've just got a sap green and a permanent rose and a white. So I've also got, because this was actually what initially inspired my idea, I've just had my birthday and this pink tissue came in the birthday, so I'm going to use a bit of that for collage. And I had a look through a magazine that I had and I picked out a couple of pages. So these are things that you'll have, bit of glue, you see it's got the pink and the green. And I've got this green because I thought we might want a little bit of contrast of a different green. But I do quite like some of these words on the paper as well. Here's to a bright future, choose your adventure. So I might even use some of that, but I'm not going to worry about it just now. What I'm going to do first is tape off this paper. So there's a reason we do this exercise. I do it a lot. I saw it on YouTube and then I did a Find Your Joy course with Louise Fletcher and I really enjoyed the idea of exploring your choices, and this is a way of doing it, and it helps you to find out what you like and what you don't like, which all leads to your own authentic voice. I thought I'd do a little bit of this. What I'm doing now, you can do it where I could have gessoed this and it would make it a little bit easier for these to lift, but I'm just running my finger along here and to stop the paint running under, and I'm going to crisscross on top, and I'm thinking I could just do it into 4, but I'm going to make sort of squares with it, so I'm just using my eye to sort of separate this into thirds. Okay, that's not very good. Look at that. That wasn't using my eye very well at all. I'm trying to be straight at least. There we go, that's better. So, they're not even squares. You could measure it if you wanted to, but they are going to be, you know, squares, little rectangles, but they're this sort of size. And I'm just running it again, my finger along again. Okay, so the next phase, or the beginning phase of this, once you've actually prepared your paper, I like to just mark the paper first. And I'm thinking in terms of the cherry blossom, but you could just make marks. Don't even think about it really. So I tend to like organic lines, but you may like to do shapes. I can't help myself, I'm just sort of thinking in terms of these cherry blossoms. And now I'm going to move on to a coloured crayon. These are Stabilo children's crayons. So if you want to, in fact I will, go on then, I'll turn, and you'll see in a minute. I am going to turn. So I'm doing a similar idea. Just want to get some of these. That's it. I'm just turning. I'm just changing. Well, every time I turn, I'm going to change to a different implement. Oh, this is a pro marker, and you've got different sizes of pen, and I'm just wondering what to do here, because there's a little bit of me that wants to make a different mark. Yeah. Don't overthink it. I am trying to put repeated marks in different ways, different boxes. And what you can do is try not to think about this as boxes. Think of it more as just one whole sheet of paper. I'm going to do a little bit of gluing now. So in order to glue, I've just got an old tile here, and I'm just going to spread some glue onto the tissue paper. And the glue dries clear, so you don't have to worry too much about getting it on the front and the back. I'm also not too worried if it ruckles. I quite like the idea of it ruckling up, but you might not want to do that. I'll show you how to cut this cleanly later. I just like the idea of some bits of this tissue almost representing little bits of the cherry blossom. It's both the colour, in fact I almost want it to ruckle on purpose. There you go. And I'll get a bit more. You see with the tissue paper, you can see some of the lines that are underneath, so we're starting to build layers. And also because we've got thicker and thin, that also starts to develop some depth as well. Now, I don't want to go over the whole lot, so I'm just, there you go. Quite, I want it to be, I'm going to go across there like that. Yeah, quite like that hole. So that's the sort of thing that happens by accident, but they think, oh, that might look quite good. I'm not sure yet, but it might. And so I'm going to start to go back over. I'm going to rotate it actually. Just so, rotate it all the way around. I've got a different colour now. I'm introducing a different colour. Now, what we could do is, I think I'm going to do some sort of, you won't be able to tell necessarily, but for me it's like some leafy shapes. And the other thing we could do is start to do a bit more of a block. It could be that you go, actually, I'd like to do this sort of shape, or okay. And now we're going to get some, I'm going to get some more collage or some paint. And this is where it becomes suddenly it's all about choices and layers. put that right in as well. I'm just going to do this. I'm turning it the other way around so I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, interesting. I don't actually want the National Trust logo in there. I might want that. Now you can do this quite big. It doesn't have to be on really small sheets of paper. I just thought for you to get going, it might be an idea to try this on smaller sheets. I quite like going from one side to another. So all I'm doing here is sort of repeating the pattern in each. I don't want to cover that up. I like that junction. Do that. Yeah. Okay. So I know roughly, I'm just gluing. A little tip, I've glued a little bit more now. I've put a bigger piece down, is to just rub over it with either another sheet of paper. Just gives you that rather than rubbing directly on whilst it's still wet. So put a sheet over it and then firm it down. So I'll continue to glue. So after a while of doing this, what you find is you start to feel like, oh, that looks right, or that doesn't. It's not that you're making the conscious decisions yet. You're still going with what just feels right. So that's when you start to tap into your own intuition, so to speak. It's just a gut feeling, really. It may be that you want to start relayering over the top, or it may be that you want to bring, sometimes I really like joining up things just to make them look like they're more a part of it. So I haven't got quite to that yet. So for example, I might like to take that down, but I haven't quite, no. So here I'm going to take this and we're going to rub over here, and I want to, this pink here, it's almost like I want to bring that through. Now I do realise that at some point we're going to take all this off, so it might not show, but what you want to do is just go with your gut feeling and how it feels. I'm inclined to colour that part, and this is where you start just going with what feels right. Only some of it will show, well, that's okay. Because we're going to do another layer after this. So the next layer I'm going to do, actually I'm going to, in fact I'm not even sure I'm going to use a brush. The colours out now. I've got the palette knife out and I'm quite enjoying using it. So you can use a credit card as well. What I'd quite like to do is, if you've got not much to use at home, for you to be able to just reach into your own materials, really, and be able to still do this. So I've got sap green, the quinacridone rose, no, permanent rose, and white. I happen to have a zinc white to hand. That's all that. It's just that's the only reason I've used that. Not really any other reason. And I've done a sort of mix. I actually want it to be quite light, but I'm going to do a different thing. So I've put some half mix paint on my brush, not mid brush, in my palette knife, and I'm just going to do some. There we go. Quite like that mark. So this is about finding, so this is the next finding marks, and I'm going to repeat these marks again into the other part of the painting. I could do some darker versions. Yeah, quite like that. And the other thing I could do, I just want to point out, whilst we're talking about all of this, that I've put a bit of green on there. Whilst we're talking about all of this, I would like to point out that try to see these as just experiments, because it's from your experiments. All my landscape work starts with either me out and about collecting, or next stage is experimenting with those things. Ooh, see, I like that. That's interesting as well. That's an interesting mark. So this is about mark making now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this, and in the next part of the series we're going to look at the mark making, which is what I'm doing now. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.